Meeting of Board of Water Commissioners is here, called to order. Reading of the minutes of the previous meeting. I have a motion to accept the minutes from the previous annual meeting.
I'll make a motion.
I have a second.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay, pass. Election of officers. I'd like to turn the meeting over as temporary chair to Mr. Cloonan.
At this time, I'd like the record to reflect that Commissioner James Noble has indicated that he was no longer serving on the water board, and submitted his notice prior to this meeting, and therefore there are currently 5 members of the Kingston Board of Water Commissioners, including the mayor of the city of Kingston. At this time, as the temporary chairman of the annual meeting, I will this time entertain motions for the position of president of the Kingston Water Board for the calendar year 2025-2026. Are there any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Dennis Croswell for president of the City of Kingston Board of Commissioners.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? Are there any further nominations? Are there any further nominations? Are there any further nominations? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those
Okay,
opposed? There being a unanimous consent, Dennis Croswell has been elected as president of the Board of Water Commissioners, and I therefore relinquish the chair to Mr. Dennis Croswell. And also, for the record, reflect that we thank James Noble for his service to the Kingston Board of Water Commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cloonan. I will now entertain nominations for secretary for the Board of Water Commissioners. Do I have a nomination from anyone? Joanne was the previous one.
I will nominate Joanne Sesh for secretary of.
I'll second.
That. Do I have any discussion on that matter? Hearing none, I will ask for a vote. Those in favor of Joanne Sesh being elected secretary for the Board of Water Commissioners, say aye. Report aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay, Joanne is elected secretary. Committee assignments. At this point in time, why don't we just keep the same committee assignments and figure out when a new commissioner is selected. We'll put that person in regards to the committee assignments. Otherwise, I guess a motion to adjourn the annual meeting.
Make a motion to adjourn. Yeah, meeting.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Pass. Pardon me?
Date for the next annual meeting?
Next annual meeting is scheduled for June 10th, 2026. In your calendar. That concludes the annual meeting of the Board of Water Commissioners. I will now open the regular meeting of the Board of Water Commissioners for the month of June. Reading of the minutes of the previous meeting, the May meeting.
Motion to accept. This previous meeting.
Okay,
So,
Second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Yes. We're still auditing the bills and accounts.
Yep.
Okay. Move on to the financial audit.
Nothing really of note. I included the letters to the board. I can also email the official final, and Mike can email them with the actual final financial statement. I didn't figure anybody ever takes the hard copy, so why waste the paper? So the biggest thing is the lack of a formal capitalization policy. We're working on drafting something for the board to approve before the end of the year. So that would just be when we make a large purchase or have a large project.
Like
how
the
we
dam or
actually
something?
capitalize it. Yeah, how is it done and what's the threshold? So like in the past, there was things that were done 15 years ago, like we had capitalized the water pool for $350. Like that shouldn't be in there. So we've stopped doing that. It's just not in black and white. So we're just working on putting something in writing. Like what's the threshold? Like vehicles, yes. A new printer, not necessarily. We've got a separate thing. like.
Oh, new water main,
Yeah, it's like, so
something that's, is
just drawing black and white lines, which, I mean, we've been doing. for
there
the
some
past 7
guidelines
years.
that you guys,
We have, I mean, I've been using kind of what the city has and other people for the last 7 years, that's how we've been doing it, but we just don't have anything in our own.
What's the is there like a financial threshold?
That's kind of what we're drawing up, so it's like, you don't capitalize something that's $500, but, 5,000 maybe, 10, 20, 30, like, we gotta just draw up those official lines and then we can move them around, so obviously the large projects are capitalized, and always have been. So but that's what we're working on, so nothing else, but we can get that going for the end of the year, just so that will close the one hole with the auditors. No.
so when do you expect that? Not until the end, by the end of the year?
Yeah, hopefully the next couple of months here, we'll get something to the board to review.
IUP project listing.
So these were all submitted. These were the projects that we had talked about with CDM for the engineering reports. You'll see the numbers on the bottom that were submitted for the IUP. So we got the system improvements, you got 4.4 million. That's for the lagoons, painting and improving the tanks with safety, upgraded safety and OSHA approved stuff. And then the Beale Street main that we had kind of dead ended when we had all the water going into the creek down there. So those combined, the estimated cost was about 4.4. The lead service line, we had already been on the IUP, but we updated the listing to kind of better, in a way that we think will help us improve the inventory for the next submission. That's about 2.5 million. Then the lead service line replacement, which hopefully this is going to be all grants, is estimated at, for the ones we have identified, $30.1 million. That's just for the identified services that we have. So that number will continue to grow as we identify services. And that's also tricky because we don't own those services. So it's grant money as well.
Yeah, well, we're not the only one that'll be in that same.
No,
boat, so well,
but that's
somehow
that's
the
the
federal or state governments will figure out the grant loan process.
yeah, and it's still a moving target as the EPA and the states look at the rules and all that stuff.
So these have been now submitted to the EFC.
Technically, official to submit to DOH, but they'll be on the EFC listing for potential funding.
And when does that come out, that funding report?
There's typically an announcement. They kind of do it in stages. The governor kind of does press releases. Sometimes they're as early as October, but it could be spring. Or
So the earliest is going to be this October.
most likely, I would say, they don't give you a hard deadline, but they tend to release it based on where she is in the state at the moment for the funding. So there's not like a, here's all the projects. It's kind of released in phases.
And what do you think our likelihood of
I haven't
being,
seen
part
this.
of it is being
I haven't seen
reasonable.
the scoring. I mean, they'll list them and score them. So
Okay. So, but there must be some documentation that shows how they score.
there is. I mean, if you have violations, you get put to the
Right,
top
you're
of
getting on
the
top, yeah, so.
list. So I mean, none of this stuff. We haven't let it reach that point, so I mean, that hurts us off the top. But
That hurts us.
which is
What they tend to do is then give you just loans as opposed to low interest loans versus a grant.
Yeah.
The ones with violations gravitate to the top of the list, and then those, there's a certain amount of money in that project that are grants, and then a lot is based upon the economics of those water systems too. I mean,
And
it's
the
a
pot
poor
of
water
money,
system.
the pot of money could be shrinking potentially depending on what the federal, because it's all funneled through the federal
Right.
government, to the EPA, through the EFC. So if that pot of money shrinks and the grants shrink, and so I really have no idea what to expect when we see the release of the grants. So
Okay.
hopefully we get something.
And these projects can kind of, I guess, wait until then as opposed to going out and,
I mean, we're gonna have to do something with the lagoon probably. We might just be able to just clean them out, but the money in here is for changes to the piping and.
It wasn't cold enough this winter to.
I mean, this winter was very helpful. I mean, they look much better
Oh,
right
that's
now,
good.
yes.
Okay.
So we still might have to do a little bit of emptying out the freeze lagoon before the end of the year.
So better than it was.
It's definitely
this
better,
time last
yes.
year.
You can walk on it. So I was out there the other day walking on it. definitely dry up.
But the whole concept of climate change is just kind of messed up that whole engineering concept to the point where it's probably not even a viable alternative anymore, right?
Still do freestyle.
It works. It has 40+ years of stuff in there. So if we emptied it, rebuilt it, put a second one in, I like that alternative better than another pump station we have to maintain and run.
Yeah, okay.
Like, then you still have to get rid of the stuff too. So even with the mechanical, you still got to dispose of it, which is where the expense, with the freeze lagoon, at least it can stay on site for years. Because this disposal is high dollar. Where's it go? That's the problem. They put it on trains, truck it around.
Landfills.
You can get reuse permits, so you can put it, you know, but
We'll take anything, isn't it?
But there should be a date when they announce when that IUP or the state's.
the IUP will be out at some point. I don't know what the date is.
Okay.
The score of the actual awards will be, because they do a draft, that comes out in phases too. They'll do a draft IUP, and there's a separate draft IUP for the lead service stuff. So it's all spread out. It's how POH stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think it's in the fall, the actual listing comes, and then you go to the water supplies and say, you're ranked number 2 on the list. Here's money, and if the project's not ready for it, and then they go down to 3 or 4, and they keep going down, and so at some point in time, there's a chance, if you got a ready project, that you'll jump on, so. Okay. Capital improvement plan.
We had kind of discussed it, touched on it last month about doing something a little more formalized. It's been a while since we've had a formal written up capital improvement. So I put together a draft. Ryan, Derek, and I are working on it. I gave Jim a copy. He's gonna take a look at it and see if he can assist in some of the estimations for dollars. And I'll have a draft hopefully, possibly next month, maybe August, for the board to start review, and then we can have something to keep going and keep fresh moving forward.
Okay. Any other questions? Correspondence?
Nothing.
Superintendent's report. Quite a bit of rain, huh?
A little bit.
Even, well, oh, this is the rainfall here, water system production source. It says 2024,
Oh, yeah,
that-
that's not right.
because it's,
That's
we're in the middle of June and we got 9,
Well, you know, you guys missed it for 6 months. So.
did we? Well, maybe not, I don't know. I'll have to go back and look, maybe you slipped this.
I
in.
copied the same one over, so.
Oh, yeah?
It must have been.
Well, I
I'll
don't
fix
think
it.
so. You know why? Because I thought we were actually below like the earlier months, but maybe not. Below average, but,
I'll fix it for next.
okay. So obviously June, we didn't have. This is probably just from 2024 then.
Just that number is wrong. No, the numbers are right. Just that date was wrong. Because I copied last month over and then I filled in the information as I got.
Okay, but obviously June isn't.
So that,
What do you mean?
that number is.
You have
from
9
May
inches for the
to
month of June.
No, that's definitely for June of 2025.
Well,
Or May.
it's
Oh, yeah.
May,
What did I do then?
I don't know,
I don't know what I did.
because it's June,
Yeah, I
11.
see what you're saying.
so it can't be 9 inches in June. We won't know June until July. Meeting.
Yep, no, that's definitely wrong.
So I mean, that 9 might
The
be
9,
up.
9 is right. I just don't know. which
That
number
9 is
wrong.
for May then.
Yes, the 9 was definitely May. And the 2024 is 2025. Now I'll have to look at that.
You know what, everything just might go up.
My guess
One-
is the 3.2 was put in prematurely. And then we got a lot of rain at the end.
I don't know, unless
what I
everything,
I think the 3.2 I put in early and then
okay,
I
well,
got the official
you'll
numbers.
correct it for next.
Yeah,
But obviously, because even this month we've had, well, it rains every weekend, you know, so,
Do we know that? Of course we know that every place else.
yes. Well, we know that actually, there was some statistic that
that's it. Always.
they used Albany as a point of reference. They had like It's been 26 or 28 consecutive weekends of precipitation, at least some participation over the weekend. There hasn't been a dry weekend in 26 or 28 weeks. At least in all of it, but I'm sure it's around here, so. Yeah, right. Okay, any other questions? Okay. So a motion to accept the superintendent's report,
Motion.
second. Those in favor? Opposed? Do we need to go into executive session? Should we go in executive session for this? Yeah, why don't we? Okay, motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel issue.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
I'll second that.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Out of executive.
Make a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're now back in regular meeting. And, I mean, I guess I can make the motion, right?
Sure.
A motion to hire Charles Bradford, provisionally pending exam, as a water plant operator. An annual salary of $62,140.98, effective June 16th, 2025. The motion, need a second?
Second that.
Any discussion, further discussion?
So you can find another.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Is that it? Oh, well, the only other issue is,
Yeah,
what you sent was moving the July meeting, right?
Move the July meeting, I mean, that gives us an extra week to possibly get a new board member, and I may have a conflict on that, so I don't know if the 16th works for everybody, or.
Fine with me.
July 16th.
Huh?
It's a good day.
July 16th?
Yeah.
Why is that?
It's my birthday.
So are you available on July 16th?
Well, good. Happy birthday in advance. Matter of fact, the mayor's birthday is today. That's probably why he's not here. Because him and my wife share the same birthday.
Wait, don't you and Jim share the same anniversary too?
Yes.
You're really.
Me and the Nobles.
interested in-
Okay, so
So,
we'll,
16th,
for the 16th, I don't know if we need a motion to do that.
we need a motion to move the meeting, or we just do the notice to the clerk's office, right? As long as we do our notice, we're good.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, we'll just do the notice to make sure it gets put on
I
the
can
calendar.
kind of just, you normally in the minutes kind of close it with that way that the.
Yeah, it'll be in the
meeting is-
minutes, it'll be moved on the city calendar, so it'll be out there.
So,
The prison puts it out weekly and all that, so.
okay, I guess, a motion to adjourn then is. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, hold on. Presentation of bills and accounts.
Make a motion to.
Accept the bills and accounts. I have a second.
Second.
Okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Now a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, those in favor?
All right.
Adjourn.